So I responded to Noelplum, as he asked for, understanding the Second Amendment. I responded to him. I was pretty polite. And then he called me a scumbag because one of his examples is that, America has the best military in the world, the best trained military in the world. Do you really think, a few people with semi-automatic weapons and some automatic machine guns and very little ordnances could actually take on the best the best army that ever existed? And my example was Ireland. Now, the rising of 1916, Ireland didn't have an army. It was the British army. They had bolt-action weapons, and they won their independence. And then there was the still contention of the northern 6 counties. When the time came when the UDA, the RUC, the Black and Tans were beating Catholics to death and murdering them, acting like death squads, after 3 years of non-violent protests, not even civil disobedience, just protesting non-violently, there was the RUC, the B specials, UDA disappeared people. So the provisional IRA formed, and it didn't originally have Simtex or armor lights, Semtex armor lights. It didn't have those things. They just had whatever weapons they could get their hands on, and they fought for 40 years. And the Crown Forces, the United Kingdom's military, is as good as the United States or Australia. It's a superpower military, basically, and which countered his point. And yes, the UDA, the RUC, the B specials and the Black and Tans actually had to get disbanded, but the UDA and the RUC definitely passed on information to the UVF and the VFF. So, I mean, if somebody wants to say, well, the UDA weren't death squads, it wasn't a death squad, which it was. Well, the UVF certainly was a death squad. And unlike the Catholics, or unlike the IRA, they didn't give warnings. They didn't target certain people. They just killed any Catholics. You had the Shankill Butchers. And it's known that the police looked the other way when the Shankill Butchers were doing their thing, and it wasn't until they started killing Protestants that the Shankill Butchers were caught, right? And they still got lenient sentences. But what does he do? Noelplum calls me a fucking scumbag and goes off and rants and everything. Doesn't address any of my other points, but the reason why I used the IRA as an example is because that happened in '96. He's old enough to remember that. The Good Friday Agreement, was at '98, and the Oma bombing was 2000, but that was real IRA. That wasn't provisionals. So it happened in his country. It was an ongoing conflict for 40 years, and they took on, MI5, all these special branches and all the special forces. They had infiltrators that fought the army conventionally and in guerrilla style. And the only way to respond is to foul mouth, saying, oh, well, you fucked it. Because the IRA, they just rose up to murder people. It's not like there was apartheid and racism and segregation in Ulster. It's not like Catholics were denied voting rights, denied the right to work. And it's not like the police aided the B specials and the Black and Tans to go murder and rape Catholic women. Or send information to the UVF and the UDA. And they have people on tapes at Boston College. People who are UDA admitting that they would take Catholics off the street and execute them. after 3 years of nonviolent, peaceful protesting, after Bombay Street was burning and you had Bloody Sunday, the provisionals were formed because St. Matthew's Church was about to be burned down and Bombay Street was burning. Now, in that video, I didn't say either way whether I supported him or not. But that is an exact example, before they had the Semtex, before they had the Armor Light, of a people who were never trained in the military taking on one of the world's most elite fighting forces and fighting them to a standstill for 40 years. But he has to use his foul mouth and then basically, oh, there was no civil injustice, there was no social injustices in Northern Ireland, the Northern 6 counties. No, the B specials, the black and tans, the UDA, the RUC, that's fine. You know, it's not like that even the United Kingdom recognized, yeah, the RUC's bad news, and so they disbanded it and turned it into the PSNI. I mean, yeah, he just has to run his foul mouth. And when he instead of concede a point, which I don't know how he could still hold his point, not concede that, yes, a ragtag group of people who have no military experience can fend off the world's biggest empire, basically. Peace to you.